Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Mr. Honia with the financial wellness presentation. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to listen to this short little lecture and fill out your chart along the way. So it's less about notes today and more about, just thinking about your beliefs and thinking about learning things and reframing a little bit that in a different way. So the first thing you're going to do is go to your learning financial wellness learning chart in Canvas. So there's a section that's labeled what I believe, and you're just going to write down your thoughts about the statements listed in the column. These can be short, 1, 2 word sentence, and the bullet points. These are your beliefs. This is nothing that is going to be graded from the standpoint of what I think is right or what you think is right or what you think is wrong. It's literally going to be graded on the standpoint of completion and that these are your beliefs. So you want to be authentic. Don't write down what you think I want to hear or what you think is the right thing. What are your beliefs regarding these statements? Okay, you're going to write that down. Then in the financial wellness lecture, I'm going to go through this and you're going to listen to me talk, and I'm going to try to make it as quick and painless as possible. But what I'm going to do is the whole purpose of this is to make you think about financial wellness and sort of challenge your thinking. And then once I am done, you're going to fill out the right side of the column of what you now know, what you have learned based off that, and maybe thinking about your own beliefs and seeing where your old beliefs kind of line up with your new beliefs. So I'm not saying that every belief has to change, but maybe we can add some more onto the beliefs to expand that knowledge a little bit. So what is financial wellness? Well, there are four caveats that I like to put in, or not caveats, but four aspects that I like to put in for financial wellness. Overall, financial wellness is related to smart money management, knowing that you know how to manage your finances and ultimately creating less financial anxiety. Anxiety and finances are one of the main causes of, you know, issues in today's society, relationship issues and things. A lot of that stuff gets tied to money, how people feel about some of their self worth and their ability to take care of themselves, survive. It's all about finances because money is used as a tool for survival. So it's one of those things that you want to make sure that you are lessening your financial anxiety. Also, having optimism towards your financial situation. Not necessarily saying that, you have to be negative towards your current financial situation because you're not a millionaire, but thinking about, okay, when you put it into perspective, you have enough to cover the bills. You have enough to cover something if in the event an emergency happens. Knowing that, if something should happen, you got it covered and you can make it happen at the end of the day, and it's not going to stress you out much. And then lastly, being financially prepared for life's challenges, sort of feeding into what I said earlier. How do we establish financial wellness? Well, I'm going to be looking at this from the short term and the long term because there are things you can do today, i.e., short term, that will impact the long term, and there are things that happen in the long term aspect that will continue to positively affect your financial wellness throughout life. So, short term, this is the stuff you can do right now. So, obviously, in order to establish that financial wellness, you got to have money. So, one of those big things is getting a job, making sure that you can start acquiring income in some sort of way. And another good thing that comes with that is making sure that you budget your money properly, not spending money on things that you don't need or spending money you don't have on things that you don't need or spending money you don't have on things that you could use, but it's not a dire need. So you want to make sure that you're budgeting your money and not going over that budget. And then also putting away a little bit every day, every week, every month, putting away and kind of starting a little bit of saving. So you can start saving. If you acquire $1, you can put away 25 cents. Congrats, you saved a little bit. It all starts with a little bit every day, whether it be in a piggy bank or whether it be in a big bank. It does not matter. A little bit of saving is very important. And then finally, making smarter shopping choices. Not necessarily, you know, buying things that you don't need or, resisting the temptation to buy things that you don't need, but also recognizing impulse buying and making sure that, You're thinking about, do I really need this? Do I not need this? It's not necessarily all about that, although it's part of it, but also making sure that you're buying things of quality that will last you, that you're buying things and investing in things that can make you money or that do serve a greater purpose other than immediate satisfaction. So long-term goals or long-term financial. So we just talked about short-term financial wellness. So long-term, this is about over the lifetime. One of the ways that you can establish long-term financial wellness is making sure that you establish an emergency fund. This is key. Having that emergency fund is very important because this is one of those things where, in the event life throws a curveball at you, you can cover it. Another thing is investing and creating a retirement fund. So that way, as you get older, you can grow your wealth. A lot of these big name CEOs, they actually make a lot more of their money from investing than any other way. And you'll will be able to see a little bit of that later. But a lot of these big CEOs, that's how they make their money. It's not necessarily that they created this company and they're bringing in all these profits. It's that they're creating this company, they own stock in the company, and that pays back, and that's where they get most of their money from, is from their investments and owning shares in a company. Once again, creating a retirement fund, and then lastly, starting a business. Starting a business can obviously have some negative short-term effects because you have to have money to start it up, and you might not start seeing profits or gains initially, but maybe as time moves on, that business can grow, and then that can be a long-term source of income and savings as the time goes on in your life. So short-term effects on the long-term effects. So does successful short-term financial wellness lead to long-term financial wellness? And oftentimes, yes, it does. Most of the time, what you're seeing is if you start saving up now leads into leads into an opportunity to invest, or can lead into an opportunity to establish that emergency fund. Or for example, if you start budgeting now, that can lead you to make smarter decisions in the future. So that way, the value of what you're buying, and where the best place to put your money is. And then also, for example, getting a job right now can allow you to start saving and start practicing budgeting, and eventually lead to the point where you can start making decisions about investing in the future. Now, another big debate, and this is one that I'm just going to pose kind of two sides to this, just sort of to have you think. But can you be too broke to be financially well? The way I read that, the way I talk about it is oftentimes there are two sides. There are some people who truly believe that no matter how much money you make, it's not about the amount of money you make, it's how you spend it and how you manage it that establishes your financial wellness. Because we've seen it time and time again. These athletes, rich people, go broke because they did not know how to manage your money. So my thing is that's on the plus, that's on the side where you see someone who's got a lot of money and they're not financially well, but can you be too broke to be financially well? So they're saying that, it's not about how much money you make, but how you manage it. So can someone work at a job that does not pay a lot and have a lot of sense of low socioeconomic status and still achieve financial wellness through budgeting? Can they still achieve financial wellness through putting away a little bit of money here and there? So that's that question. Can we have smart money making decisions, um, if even though you may not make a lot of money? So that's the thing. Some people believe that at the end of the day, you can still achieve financial wellness even if you don't make a lot of money. And then on the other side, there are some people who believe that you can be too broke to be financially well. Because when it comes to making money, you're looking at it from the standpoint of, you need a job and you need money to survive. And some people, unfortunately, don't make enough money to, fall into those categories. They don't make enough money to properly budget and do things because all their money goes to bills or all their money goes to basic necessities. So they can't make money for savings, because they can't make money for savings. They don't have money for an emergency fund, and they don't have money for investing in long-term wealth. So they live paycheck to paycheck, and so that decreases their financial wellness. So there are some people who believe that there's levels of socioeconomic status that literally have you too broke to make those financial wellness. So you always have that anxiety. So just sort of making y'all think on that, of thinking, where do you fall on that spectrum? What do you believe? And in some cases, why? So problems faced by humanity. So we have life problems, and this is one of the reasons we talk about financial wellness, because in many cases, a lot of people believe that money can and cannot solve your problem. Now we have life problems such as finding happiness, finding love, being liked. These are problems that we face, over the course of our lifetime, whether we are a high or low socioeconomic status. I'm pretty sure no matter whether you have a lot of money or you don't, you want to find happiness. Whether you have a lot of money or you don't, you want to find love. Whether you have a lot of money or you don't, you want to be liked. You want to establish a positive reputation. But what comes with that also are, what about money problems? What are the problems that we deal with money? So, for example, your rent, your mortgage, your putting food on the table. These are problems that are also faced by humanity. But at the same time, will having more money solve these problems? Can money solve all of your problems? So, for example, is it easier for someone like a Jeff Bezos or a Donald Trump to solve the issues related to, keeping their lights on in their house versus, someone who's working minimum wage, and, working a minimum wage to support, a family? Is that going to be something that, is going to be something where their financial wellness is impacted by money? So we have that idea of, once again, that anxiety related to finances. Someone who works a minimum wage job to support a family, they may have more issues money wise. Now, once again, there's always, background information. Obviously, I'm, keeping the scope very narrow, narrowing it down to, someone working minimum wage to support a family versus someone who obviously is extremely wealthy. But we're looking at it from the standpoint of these money problems. Will money solve all of these problems? And a lot of times you can think about it from the standpoint of, if you have more money, will that solve your issues? So if the person, so for example, who does work minimum wage, if they worked and they went from a minimum wage job to making $30 an hour, would that solve a majority of their problems, taking care of their family, being able to afford rent, making sure that they have food on the table? Will that solve the problems? And for most people, that would say yes. So a lot of times, money is a key to survival. And the question is, how do we get to that point where we can be someone who is starting from the bottom and working their way up to make sure that they can acquire money to solve some of these problems that aren't faced by everyone? But where does it all start? Now, one of the big things that I will say is, where does it all start? Now, with getting a job, absolutely, that is a great way to start. But essentially, we want to talk about from the standpoint of doing short term decisions to establish long term wealth. So, these are some of the smart things that I feel like everyone can do, and it can start out right now. So these are short-term decisions that can impact your long-term wealth. The first thing is establishing credit early. If you are not talking to your parents about establishing credit for yourself, whether that be, getting put as an authorized user on a credit card or anything of that nature, you need to be having those conversations, because credit is tied to a lot. It's tied to your ability to get loans to go back to school. It's tied to your ability to acquire apartments and housing. It's tied to your ability to acquire a vehicle most of the time. So you want to make sure that you can establish credit early, so you can establish good credit, reputable credit. So that way, when you go out on your own, when you're 22, 23, maybe even, 19, 18, you can go ahead and have that and be able to make those and get acquired for correction. You'll be able to have that so you can acquire things as you get older. Once again, making smart buying choices. This is said time and time again, but it's the smart move. Another thing is getting the right accounts. You want to make sure that you're getting the right savings accounts, the right checking accounts, because there are savings accounts, for example, that pay interest, and you want to make interest on the money that you put in there and you save. You don't just want to have a savings account that doesn't bear interest, because then you're going to turn around and even though you might as well keep your money under your mattress. So you want to look into compounding interest accounts. You want to look at money market accounts, certificate of deposit accounts. You want to look at the very different accounts that allow you to accrue money through letting it sit. And then finally, looking at small investments. If you are 18, there are what are called micro investing companies such as Acorns, Robinhood, Stash. These companies, will do things like, for example, if you spend $1.50, it will round your payment up to $2 and deposit that 50 cents into a small investing account. So all your spare change ends up going to these accounts, and then you start investing and acquiring that long-term wealth with these short-term simple decisions. Um, so that's one of those things is these are short-term decisions that you can make that can have a strong long-term impact. And once again, these are things that are done with pennies on the dollar, very much pennies. And so that way, when if you think about paying your bills or when you think about being in tough financial situations, while we're saving every penny or doing our best, here it's just allowing you to actually take part in investing and saving for those emergencies and then establishing wealth long term. So for the rest of the class, you're going to fill in the right half of your chart for each section and then submit via Canvas. There is a survey module that exists that goes along with this. And then you are going to complete where's his money come from assignment. So this is going to be sort of a Business Insider where they talk about where a lot of these billionaires' money actually comes from. And, I think you'll find it very interesting from the standpoint of what this means from the standpoint of how you can acquire wealth and where your wealth can be mostly accrued. So at this point, you guys have the rest of class to knock the stuff out. Y'all have a good day.